I'm Scott Voida, Director at Global Creative, here with Ross, Key Account Manager at the company, and we're here in Milano, Italy, at CPHI, going to do a walkthrough of the booths that we have on the show floor. We have 5 booths, and we'll kind of just get started. All right, so this one here, this is in Hall 7, all right? Hall 7, ASIM Chem. This is a 7 by 20 meter booth, and so in the middle, you got the big LED. On the sides, you have the semi-private meeting areas. And so what's unique about this is the way that we kind of handle these semi-private meeting areas. And we know that the client loves to have separated graphic zones for their messaging. Not one big plain graphic, but separated into different bullet points and topics. So that's why we did this right here, where you come in and you have multiple panels like this to be able to talk about the different topics that need discussed. Also, we had open areas in here so that the rooms don't feel claustrophobic, and so that there's visibility into the booth from outside.
So Scott, last year we did the AI counting tool at CPHI Barcelona, and part of the problem was the meeting rooms were private, so we couldn't get accurate counts. Did the AI happen to impact the design of this booth at all? Because this is perfect for the AI. Every single spot here we could get a clear count on.
That's true. We did not do the AI this year, so based on client request, they didn't need it. But yes, the AI would be perfect. And just as an explainer, we have an AI technology where you set up a few cameras. In this case, we would set up 3 webcams connected to a PC, and it would do crowd counting throughout the show. So you'd be able to get readouts of the booth traffic. We did not do that here, but we do still offer that as a product offering for our clients. Now, moving through the booth, you see 2 big counters right here, hospitality. You know, one of the things we do also is make sure that everything here is for the client, the waters, the snacks, you name it, all the stuff that needs to be on the booth to make for a comfortable meeting experience. We handle all that. So that is all here. What you see on these sides right here, this is client product. They brought this in themselves. They have a VR experience that they've brought in. They brought it in from China and are using this as a demo. And so, you know, they also asked for a couple last minute things like, hey, they want the factory VR visit on there. That was a last minute addition. So we just, they asked for that to be on the screen, so we just put it there. And as you can see, big light box here, right at the corner, attract some attention in there. Quite useful. So let's come around here to this side. So you see these light boxes here at the edges of the booth space. This is what I was talking about with the separated topic zones on here, and also visibility into the booth. We don't want to block off the whole side. We want to keep it open.
Now, Scott, as we kind of walk around, we're going to see a lot of these kind of light boxes at some of the smaller booths, but it'll be just one. Generally, like, how much does something like this go for, just like one of these light boxes?
So it really depends on the use case. So like in a situation like this, these aren't necessarily designed to be easily constructed and dismantled. So like on a 10 by 10 light box, depending on you know, the system that we use, you know, those can range anywhere from a low of maybe like around 5K to upwards of like 10K, depending on the size, the height, and like the complexity of the structure, how much light is inside as well. So all those things factor into the pricing. This is At the Farm, another client that we have here on the hall. And as you can see, the main event here is this LED wall, right? It is positioned exactly on this aisle to get maximum visibility down here. And then the rest of the booth is kind of built from there. So you got the big header up at the top so you can get some distant visibility. And then you got seating areas back there and a smaller screen on the left to kind of just show some demos. So
one thing about this booth that I thought was interesting is how you had the seating area spaced out, because it's not a very big booth, but there was plenty of seating, and it seemed I came through a couple times and it was full of meetings, and it didn't feel like people were shouting or talking over each other. How did you manage that? Do you have like a technique when you're designing booths for the meeting spaces?
Well, in this case, like really everything started with the aisle, like the position of the booth, like where are we in the hall, and like what are our opportunities? Like there's an opportunity to face an LED down that aisle, so that's where we started, and then the rest of it came from there. Now, of course, there was some quite highly valuable input from the client. She says, okay, that meeting area that's inside there, and you can see it kind of through those plans, they're like, it's too open. let's close it off a little bit more. Let's give ourselves a little bit more privacy. And so it's not just us, it's in collaboration with the client. They're like, okay, this is a great start, but let's add this, take this away. It's how we work on this and how we're able to achieve like lots of useful functional areas in a relatively small space. This is a 13.5 by 4 meter booth space.
Yeah, because it was amazing. I mean, the entire show coming over here at this corner, this was the one that was packed. All the other ones, it was like empty, and there was just always a lot of people here.
That's good.
I mean, they had two coffee machines going.
The double coffee machine, right? You know, to be able to get enough made. You know, the capsule machines, they're not that fast, so you need more than one. So, what do you think about the show so far?
I think it's good. Wasn't able to make it to all the halls here. I feel like there was a lot more halls than CPHI Barcelona. I don't know if that is true or not. And I think the space is really nice. I think some of the complexities that we especially dealt with on the first couple days were just the logistics of getting things in here.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, the road network was not very well designed, in my opinion. But it seems like everyone, you know, all the other vendors, all the other booths, they got it done.
Well, CPHI in general, like, is quite bureaucratic, very difficult to get things done. There's lots of players involved, the organizer, and then they hire consultants to actually enforce all kinds of rules and like regulations and things. So it makes for a pretty like paperwork heavy experience. But you know, and there were some delays on the installation as well with rigging and some of those other elements. But all those things got sorted out. We weren't the only ones dealing with those issues. I think that was a fairly common problem with many of the exhibitors here. But in the end, like they got it all sorted out. So it ended up being just fine.
You know, you mentioned the paperwork. When I went around to some of the other booths and just chatting how their experience was, a lot of them said that was the hardest part. Yeah. Was just figuring out the paperwork, and they wish that they had, you know, some people to help them out with that, that's what we do.
That's what we do, yeah. Like, so this is booth number 3 on our tour. So check it out. We've got a big light box, and then 2 rooms behind it. We've got the storage room here on the right, and then a meeting room on the left. Super simple, super beautiful, super just clean and easy.
So we were talking about all the paperwork earlier.
Yeah.
And how'd you manage to get both booths this close? Was it luck of the draw, or was this intentional?
Actually, the answer to that is because many of these customers do the same type of work. They're CDMOs, which is a contract design and manufacturing organization. These companies, they make the drugs. They actually physically manufacture them. And so many of these types of companies then get clustered into one hall, which is here. And so it's kind of luck of the draw, but also by design.
So the fact that you have, I mean, all the builds are in this hall and the adjacent hall. So CDMOs, is that the market you're after, or do you just understand the clients? You know, why is that?
Well, it's just the fact that many of them know each other, many of them have worked with each other, and it's number one, word of mouth, and secondly, also when we're on the show floor, we also prospect. We talk to other booth managers, event managers, and they can see our work in person, and then that really then creates a certain depth of customer in a certain industry. So one thing to note about this booth too, Ross, is that we designed these graphics as well. So it's not just the booth build, it's not just the booth management and logistics, it's also graphic design, video editing, motion graphics, all those things. Hey guys.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going, guys?
Hey guys. Hey.
See you again. Underneath, there we go.
Hey. Good morning.
How's the booth, guys?
Yeah. Yes. Excellent.
Business.
All right, wonderful. Good luck on day 3. All right.
Hours to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, PI. This is the first Indian client we had,
That's right. That's right.
So really the ones that put the global and global creative.
Yeah, they're helping. That's for sure. So like one of the initiatives of the company lately, Ross, is to like expand the markets into the Indian market, and there's lots of opportunity there to improve things, bring our services and our point of view to a wider array of clients. And the Indian market, I think, like could use us. This could be super helpful for them. And like, so this is our first foray into that market. And here's the booth. You know, we got 2 interesting structures here. This is actually a clever way that we were able to go from show to show with the same structure. So Ross, like the first use of this was at ChemSpec in June. That's a show in Germany. And It is the same exact structure that we use there, just in a different configuration. That booth was much bigger. It was huge, and it was positioned on a diagonal. And then the way that we designed it was that so it would be able to fit into this booth space with just a little bit of an offset to give it some interest.
So I was part of some of the initial calls with them, and I felt like they were going in a million directions. They're like modern, but classic, technical, chemical, but also, you know, biological and natural. I mean, it was all over the place, but I feel like you really encapsulate that. So how did you bring all of those disparate elements together?
So actually, like, this was one of the first booths that we really used AI using Midjourney and some of the other image generation to create the initial images for the client. And so we would come together with concepts, and then we would input those concepts into Midjourney, and it would come out with, you know, these awesome and crazy booth designs that could never be built, but they were useful in the sense of us being able to actually present something to the client and say, hey, do you like this or this? You know, we're thinking that, you know, perhaps with these hexagons that you have, maybe, you know, we could use that motif to create something beautiful. Now, not only was the design direction like a little bit like, you know, it took us a while, like, to get to the right location. Also, budget was a big concern with this, and that's how we were able to create this structure, is by combining the two shows into a single agreement. So what we did is say, okay, you know, your budget just for ChemSpec or just for CPHI is not big enough maybe to do an awesome booth, but what if we combine them and then reuse the same structure for both? And so that's how we're able to find a clever solution to make the expenditures work harder, do more, bring more to the client.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we work with the clients on multiple shows, we're able to take some of the same elements and use them over again.
Yeah.
And that's also not like, that's great for quality and the budget.
Yeah. Let's take a look in here. I think that, you know, just this is a light box up here, light box up there, and this is just you know, some fabric graphics. I mean, this is going to be kind of boring, but, you know, here's the storage area. We can see that coffee machine, water, fridge, you know, boring stuff, but it's necessary for the booth to function properly. We got a cabinet in there, electricity, coat racks, trash can, all that stuff. Extras of candy, bowls, right? You know, we always need these bowls. So we always just get those IKEA special, right? So let's go. Let's just take a look at the back side of this also. Backlight counter.
Morning, guys.
Hi. And this is a pretty cool area here too. Check it out. Like, since we moved the structure over this way, we added in some of these lights up here to create kind of a cool seating zone. And this is kind of like where they have some of the more important meetings, because it kind of creates a cool environment. And then coming back to this side, here's the other side of the booth. These graphics we did not do. These were internally generated from PI. We just printed them and installed them. Okay, here we're getting to the SK Farmteco booth. As you can see, here we are, the backlit logo. We've got this awesome pill-shaped structure up there. We had the E that was having a little electrical problem. We got that fixed yesterday morning. So thankfully, they've got a nice backlit logo now. And so you've got the logo up there. You've got also the big light box and the LED. Those are the three big elements up there. Let's go take a look. So not only do we have those elements there, but with this pill-shaped structure, we've got these interesting openings right here. You see how the structure comes and then breaks and then starts again? And the reason that it does that is because of the show regulations. We can't go the full 6 meters height, which is 20 feet, without a break. So as you look at the booth, there's a break right at the 8-foot level, or 2.5 meters. And so we understand the rules of the show and we follow them because there's really no exceptions. They don't make any exceptions. So let's just jump into the actual booth also and talk about some of the elements. So here you see these curved structures coming down, quite interesting. And the light box also right here. Hey, Jill. Hey, as we come in here, this is the seating area, semi-private meeting zones right here. These are great for just some private meetings that don't need to be fully private, like here. We have 4 meeting zones here on the right, and we've got some interesting frosted vinyl appliques on there, screens, tables, rolling chairs. And then here's kind of the back of the booth. Now, we had to add an extra meeting room in here. And so we talked to the client, said, okay, do we want to have a meeting room with the door coming off the back? And so there was just some internal discussions, and the answer was yes, although that's not ideal to have the door coming off the back. Ultimately, to add the extra room in there, we had to do that or expand the space. And then, you know, obviously there's budgetary ramifications to that. The back of the LED sign is up here, nicely lit. And then this side is basically a recreation of the other side. So it's somewhat symmetrical from left to right. And then we have these like these open seating areas here, and the ice cream cart. Now, like, the ice cream is delicious, it's wonderful, it's great. Like, it's very well attended. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the black the canopy on there, but you know, it does have their logo on there, which is good. So I've tried the ice cream, it's really, really good. And that's it for SK Farmteco. That's it for our tour of the show hall. It was 5 booths, all in a 2-hall zone. So halls 5 and 7 are basically combined into one, with the open walkways between them. So it's all CDMOs and other service organizations together. And this is why many of our booths here are all together in this cluster. We hope that you enjoyed the walkthrough. Thanks.